you're still very much so trapped in the idea that you need to do it.
You're making business harder than it needs to be. High-level entrepreneurs solve one problem and delegate the rest.
You solve the biggest problem in the whole equation.
So why are you carrying the rest?
Just pay somebody to go to the courthouse, man. Always want to think about, like, how can I reduce friction? Hey, you solve bigger problems, you get bigger checks, though. So what do we got for today's office hour? What questions we got?
I am going through the process of trying to organize my probate data. Right now, I'm using Hillsborough County property, like their probate website. I can download and get files from them, and then I'm doing them through Forewarn. It's just really time consuming, man, to organize all of the data. Is there a better way to be going about doing it? Because I'm just downloading the EXV from the county website, and then just running it myself. You know, I have it put into an Excel spreadsheet.
Well, there's two solutions. One is to have a VA that does it, and you give them a very clear SOP showing them how to do it, right? With like screen record, screenshots, and that's pretty simple.
Like a Loom video.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Loom video, because that's rote repetitious. Like, it's fine. The second, which is a little bit deeper of a rabbit hole, but it can be done, is you figure out how AI can go in, download the CVS file. You have to like vibe code, which is where you use like Claude or whatever to you tell it what you want it to do. And then it'll write the code for it, where it goes in, pulls the CVS file, logs into Forewarn on your behalf, looks it up, and then puts it on a spreadsheet. You know what I'm saying?
I tried getting Claude to do that, just to look into it, and I guess they couldn't get into the property or the county website.
Even if you gave it the credentials, it still couldn't get in?
It couldn't get access. So maybe I did it wrong. I'm not sure. I just started using Claude, so I'll have to play with it a little bit more to
yeah,
see.
Because I know that, what's his name, who was at the Doom Our Deal Summit, Mondo, he figured out how to do it in California. Figured out a way to log in to the county website, and it's basically doing what you're describing.
And then right now, I'm getting like a lot of probate leads from Hillsborough. Should I stay here? Because I service Polk and Hillsborough County. Polk County, I have to go in person to figure everything out. So I feel like there's going to be less competition because it's a lot more strenuous of a process. Or do you think I should just work Hillsborough for now, get the systems down, and then?
No, I think it's fine. So you're still thinking, it's so interesting, and I appreciate your authenticity in your question. Like, you're still very much so trapped in the idea that you need to do it.
That's a great point.
So like my first inclination was like, okay, we'll have a VA log in. And for the one you got to go to the courthouse, just pay somebody to go to the courthouse, man. Like, I used to pay my mother-in-law. I would pay her $2 per file, and I would pay for her gas and pay for her parking.
Sick.
And maybe it cost me like, I don't know, like she's retired. She needs a little extra cash, whatever. She didn't even need it. She just likes having extra cash. So it cost me maybe $800 a month, $900 a month. But I was taking, 7, 8, 10 listings a month. Like, it's fun. So you're stuck in your mind, like you need to be doing everything. So it seems really overwhelming, but like you can allocate capital towards having other people help you to gather the data.
Yeah. As far as like onboarding a VA, Aaron, where would you recommend? Because I've heard Upwork is good. Is there any other spots?
Upwork's a good one. We also have, depending on what you want them to do, because what you want them to do is pretty rote and repetitious. It's not that difficult. For higher level stuff, we have somebody who's like a fractional HR person who will go out and scour and find candidates and then report them back to you. It's like $40 an hour, but for this stuff, Upwork's fine.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Good. Who's next?
Yeah, I just want to kind of walk through a deal that I'm structuring.
Yeah.
So I got it tied up for 900. ARV is 1.2. I have, just through our network, had it open to some people that had some buyers. I think one of them is going to be writing an offer at $1,050,000. I think I'm going to do a transactional funding and close on my side and then close on them. I need to get the seller out. He's pre-foreclosure. His credit's in the 400s and he's going to net 160. I'm thinking we close, but we withhold in escrow like $35,000 and give him 7 to 14 days. And then after that, do a per diem. But I'm also going to try to help him find a property, but I don't. I think we need to find a co-signer, and he's not going to be getting what he thinks he is.
So the first thing that comes up for me is like, you have to be very mindful how you incentivize people because it shapes behavior. So once it closes and he has his money, like, what's his incentive to leave?
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing. So I would hold back more.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not enough in my mind for someone to be like, yeah, I definitely want to go. You know what I mean? Maybe like half of his money, you got to hold it back. And you'll get the rest when you vacate the property.
Right.
As far as like you taking ownership over the next thing, like I get it. And it's, it's like noble. It's a very challenging situation because he has no credit and he probably needs to find like a studio somewhere that he can rent. And I don't even know what studios in LA go for. You know what I mean? So there's two routes, right? One route is like he can subsist off his own resources. The second is he subsists off the generosity of loved ones and family. The third is he subsists off the government. And those are really like, the order of operations, right? So does he have any family that can help him or no?
I think his dad's in right now traveling, so his dad might be able to help him actually. And then his ex-wife that he's on good terms with might be able to co-sign. So I think he's meeting with a lender today, and then I'll show him the net sheet tonight. But then we'll just have a frank discussion in terms of what he can do. But then the holdback would be helping him find a property. So then I'll release it once he's in escrow with the other property.
I guess that's fine. But the challenge is that like, whoever's buying it's going to want to take possession. But it sounds like it's not like this screaming huge deal that somebody would be willing to sit on it for like 6 months, because the margin's so big.
I think I found the end. I'm going to find the end buyer at $1,050,000.
I wouldn't make a contingent upon him finding something, preferably whoever the end buyer is. Like the cleanest way to do it, preferably whoever the end buyer is, they close and they have to deal with them.
I have a contract with him, meaning I have a purchase and sale at 900.
No, I get that. So like if you have purchase and sale at 900, just wholesale the property, flip it to somebody, and then put in the agreement that they have to deal with the tenant. Like shift the responsibility and liability to them.
So they're going to write up on an RPA. I'm going to be the owner, but then I'm going to, So I'm either going to need a double close or I'm going to need to.
So either you assign the contract, which I'm sure you made it assignable, and then you make the spread, or you double close and you'll need transactional funding, which I'm sure you can locate. I mean, it's a lot of money, but I'm sure you can locate it.
So someone can write out RPA and then I sign it and I make the spread and they deal with them.
That's exactly right.
Okay. And then maybe
the way you were structuring it, like you're creating more risk for yourself. Like there's more friction.
Have them deal with the 2-week rent back or whatever in the withholding, and then them deal with him. Then he gets paid out. I get paid out.
That's right. Have them deal with everything. And then you're done at the time of closing or whatever, property transfers. You're good.
But then the last thing that the escrow brought to my attention is that then he's going to be culpable for this spread difference on a 1099 or one of those forms. Like he's going to see what I'm making, which shouldn't be that much of a problem. But then I think he might be liable tax-wise for what we end up selling it for.
You mean to the end person? Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
So then if you want to avoid that, and there's really no reason for you to want to avoid that.
Right, because that's on him.
But if you did wanted to avoid that for whatever reason, then it would require that you do a double closing. But then you're responsible for that spread. Like, so if you make $100,000, you have to pay taxes on the $100,000.
That's the best. Get the RPA and then assign it, and then I'm not the seller anymore. Then they're in contract with the buyer, or then they're in contract with the original seller. I'm making the spread.
That's right. And you've shifted all of the responsibility for this quagmire of a problem to them. Okay.
I'm not on a California form. Yeah, I guess he's just signing as the seller on the RPA.
So again, like when I hear you, like you were taking on all of the, I don't know, risk and problem solving, where like you solved the biggest problem in the whole equation, which is you found an opportunity. And then whenever like all of that on to the person who's buying, like that's their problem, bro. You deal with it. It's kind of like if you found like a car at a good deal and you are like, well, the only way I'm going to be able to make this deal work is if I help you to find another car, and it's a possible situation and all this other stuff. It's like, well, no, dude, let me just like flip it to somebody else and they deal with it.
So the other person will have to write up what they want in terms of the rent back and the withholding, and that's on them.
Right.
Good. I like it. Less friction.
Always want to think about like, how can I reduce friction? In the gym, you want friction, but in business, you don't.
Dude, there's levels to this stuff, man. That's so crazy. Yeah, I got to get more proximity over to you guys. That's wild.
Hey, you saw bigger problems, you get bigger checks, bro.
Let's go, dude.
Tell them, how can I get more and sell more?
You're hunting new business every day.
Business and stuff just eats into my prospecting time.
You have to be okay with things being left undone. I think a lot of people, like, they play whack-a-mole in their business. Everything you say yes to is something else you have to say no to. Those 3 hours is what makes the whole machine run.
You can't outsource reps to the Philippines.
People radically underestimate how much time and energy and effort it takes to train them. Well, if I was active in real estate right now, I would have a team. I would be doing probate like an assassin, sniping them down. And then I would also turn on cash offer leads. Figure out if this is a retail deal or if it's a creative deal. That's what I'd be doing.
Aaron, I guess, did you have a system when you were in business for like capitalizing on your listings and stuff like that? Would you implement any of the like, you know, the farming or circle prospecting or anything like that into that?
Do you know how I would capitalize on them?
Yeah.
I'd sell them.
Sell them?
So I'm just focused on like, how can I get more and sell more? I wasn't trying to like, how can I maximize each list? You know?
Right. So you're hunting new business every day, obviously.
That's it. Works pretty well.
Yeah.
Good. What else you guys got?
Along those lines, dude, I'm just like noticing how all the stuff of business and stuff just eats into my prospecting time.
Yeah, so that's a common challenge that you're going to have, which is that finding time to make the main thing the main thing. Yeah. And at all levels, it's an issue. That just has to do with like time blocking. I think a lot of people, like, they play whack-a-mole in their business, meaning like as soon as something pops up, they try to like whack it down. You have to be okay with things being left undone. Like, I would have offers come in and I wouldn't present them until like 4:00 in the afternoon. Many of you guys, as soon as they pop up, you present it like immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was okay with leaving something unfinished so that way I could stay on task. So, and it's just this firm, very clear, it's like rigid flexibility. The building's burning down, like I'm going to stop what I'm doing, but otherwise I'm not. So training everybody in my life that, like, you know, between the hours of 8 and 12, you're not going to be able to get a hold of me. I would have my mom email me, bro. And she gets so mad. Like, how dare you? I'm your mother and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well,
that's so gangster.
It is, man. Because like oftentimes, like, again, like it's where people are trying to make their problems your problems. And most problems aren't like real problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand real problems. Real problems are like, you know, emergencies sort of thing. Most of them aren't. So it's just like recognizing that you're training everybody in your life how to interact with you, training everybody like what's acceptable. That time, those 3 hours is what makes the whole machine run. That's like telling your body to like wait to like pump blood from your heart. Everything stops when you stop doing that. Recognize too that like everything you say yes to is something else you have to say no to.
I hear you say something a lot, is that you can't outsource reps to the Philippines. What is your thoughts on ISAs and bringing in an ISA team, especially if like you can well train them and get them calling?
Two things. One is it makes sense logically and like kind of theoretically, but in practice, people radically underestimate how much time and energy and effort it takes to train them and also hold them accountable. Right? Because you don't get what you like expect, you get what you inspect.
Sure.
And if you're not inspecting what they're doing all the time, they'll just start flaking off and doing other things. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody is going to go down that path, my recommendation would be is to hire a company that does all the training, hiring, firing, and accountability on your behalf, because you're out selling real estate. And I would also have them just through, like, I would have them calling just listed, just solds, but not with a just listed, the sold pitch. I would have them pitching cash offers. So if I was active in real estate right now, what I would be doing is the following. I would have a team of telemarketers, like a handful, 3 or 4, all pitching cash offers. I would be doing probate. That's who I'd be calling in the morning, like an assassin, sniping them down. And then I would also turn on cash offer leads. All of those would go into a funnel, all the leads that were generated. Then I would then have conversations with them, figure out if this is a retail deal or if it's a creative deal. And if it's a retail deal, we'll list it. If it's a creative deal, we'll do that. That's what I'd be doing.
Like systems wise, do you think you would still find yourself using Follow Up Boss, or would you use something different like Go High Level?
No, I'd still use Follow Up Boss. Go High Level is like it's not really great as a CRM. Follow Up Boss is designed for real estate. I still use Follow Up Boss, and I do use Go High Level, but it's more for like landing pages, selling courses online, and like other stuff. We radically underestimate how much time and energy and effort it takes to train people. And we also think we're good at training, which usually we're not. And then we also radically underestimate how much time it's going to take to like manage them, basically. And most of you guys, like, I love you. You have a hard time managing yourself, much less other people.
You would offload to Enzo all the 3 to 4 telemarketers that you mentioned?
Yep. I wouldn't do it in house. Too much. And Jose at the leadership retreat in Sedona last year, he did this presentation where he was trying to do it all in house. He went that route and he did a lot of deals, but his profit margin was 25%. And then when he outsourced it, his profit margin went up to 50%. So it's counterintuitive, but it makes sense because when you're trying to do your own lead gen and run Facebook ads and you're tinkering with stuff all the time and you're stabbing in the dark. You don't even know if something's going to work or not. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's on this call. Somebody reached. He's like, "Oh man, should I do this like YouTube ad thing?" And I'm like, "Well, tell me about it." And they're like, "Well, they tell me they can like advertise to like seller leads YouTube." I'm curious. How did you come to know about them? He was like, "They cold called me," and I was like, "Huh." The way that they are selling you their product is by doing the thing that you should be doing. And if you did it more often, you wouldn't need their product. And they didn't use their product as a way to get in touch with you, and they didn't grow a big business using their product. You see what I'm saying?
The house is worth 320 and they said they got a cash offer for 290 and they're going to go with this cash offer.
Honestly, if you really have a cash offer for 290 and it's in writing, you should probably take it. Part of what's happening is you're just like muddling it. You need to stay in pre-qual long enough to where you know with a high degree of certainty that it's retail or it's creative. We know the price of everything, but we don't know the value of everything. I think you're trying to kind of talk about both and you're having to backtrack and it seems like it's weird and clunky. So I would dig. You want to be so busy that no one disappointment stops you for too long. Good. Brent, what do you got?
On these motivated seller leads, I'm having a hard time transitioning into a
listing?
Retail price. And they're like, but they basically want retail, but they also want a cash offer.
Yeah. So
and then at the same time, a few of them have had these cash offers that don't make any sense. Like for instance, the house is worth 320 and they said they got a cash offer for 290 and they're going to go with this cash offer.
If somebody says to you, "I got a cash offer at 290 and you look at the numbers and you're like, honestly, if you really have a cash offer for 290 and it's in writing, you should probably take it. If anything changes or whatever, like here's my contact information." Because Jose gave an example where somebody said it to him and then they ended up coming back to him because like they were just blowing smoke. Like they didn't actually have it. You know what I mean? It's more like a negotiating tactic. But if they do have it, like, well, honestly, if you really have that, it sounds like a pretty good deal. You should probably take it. So in order to make the transition, part of what's happening is, I think with a high degree of probability, you're just like muddling it. So what I mean by that is like, you need to stay in pre-qual long enough to where you know with a high degree of certainty that it's retail or it's creative. Because part of what's causing this confusion is you're like picking either one before you know for sure. So I would dig and find out around like motivation, time, decision makers, like all that stuff. If this is actually retail, keeping in mind, most of them will be, probably 90% will be. And if they start to say things to you like, well, yeah, like we just need to get out of here. Okay, well, tell me a little more about that. Something came up and if you don't mind me asking, like what came up? Okay, is it an option for you to not sell the property? If we were able to close in like 2 weeks, would that create a problem for you? You know what I mean? Like you start to like ask these questions to determine, is this actually a distressed seller that needs a cash offer right now? Most of them won't be. But then and only then, once you've determined which one it is, then you pitch. Part of the issue is you're trying to kind of talk about both. I mean, you're having to backtrack and it seems like it's weird and clunky.
Yeah, it's a weird transition. I need more practice on it, 100%.
That's all. So I would role play specifically with people like Jack, people like Jose, if you can get into his schedule, people like Abel, like people that are having these conversations all the time. And that's all this is. And by the way, your skills transfer, Brent. It's just a conversation. It's a new conversation you have to get comfortable with. But I promise you, once you do, I know at the beginning, it's like awkward and it's weird, just like anything else.
Yeah, it is.
Like, because you're so used to like it going a certain way and having complete control and command of the conversation. And this is just a little different. But I promise you, as you stick with it, you'll come to this like flash of the blinding obvious, which is like, oh, this is really just the same thing.
I've gone on a couple of appointments. I just have come down with nothing, unfortunately. They ended up with going with the cash offer.
That's okay. But here's the deal. You know what that tells us? Like to me, I'm like, good. A, that tells me there was an opportunity. So I'm swimming in the right, I'm in the right kitchen, right? I'm swimming in the right pool. And B, that also tells me that with conversion, I'll be able to take advantage of it. So it's no different when you remember when you start calling probate, you're like, I don't know, I'm not really getting much. Right? And then you got more comfortable, and then boom, you show up these calls, you're like, yeah, I just took a listing, took another one, right? The exact same thing.
Just practice more.
Yeah, and find people specifically that are having these conversations. Oh, Dan Misrobian, he spends like $4,000 a month on cash offer leads. So you're role playing with people that are good at this conversation.
I won't get discouraged. Thank you.
Yeah, don't. In our weakness, we are made strong.
It's true.
Oh, yes, there is. Not true because I said it. Good. Who else has anything?
I do have something. I have been working with someone for almost a year. He's a neighbor. and I told him that my commission was 4%. He was like not having it, just wanted to do 2%, 2.5%. Yeah, I'm not swimming in that pool.
Meaning like 2.5 total, or two just to you, or
2 just to me, at 2.5 maybe, and he doesn't want to pay on the buy side at all. So he ended up going with someone else. I'm not like completely upset about it. He would have been a nightmare to work with. I'm just concerned that switching from 3 to 4% might be a problem. What are your thoughts on it? Because it's a low price point here. So
if people are really extremely difficult up front, they're going to be really extremely difficult the whole way. Then you have to make an executive decision. Because have I dealt with difficult people when I knew they were going to be difficult just because I wanted to deal with them? But almost always, invariably, being worth it. Like almost always. Because they are difficult with you, they're difficult with your staff, if you have staff, and they're never happy, no matter how much you bend over backwards, right? So it's just a business decision that you have to make, which is like, do I want that type of business? Now you can, when he asks you the question about commission, I don't know if you went through like the talk track and like trying to professional fees negotiable. It's one of the tools that we use to market the property. We can go over the options that you have because I want you to come with the one we end up choosing. You strike me as someone's pretty reasonable in the same way. I'm sure we'll come up with something that's mutually beneficial to both parties. I'm curious if we could agree on that. Would there be any other reason why we couldn't do business today? He's like, I don't think so. Great. What were you thinking? And now we're negotiating. And when he says 4, you be like, wow, do you mean like total? Yeah. Like, oh, wow. And what were you considering in terms of like offering out to another agent? And then we can kind of have that conversation and talk through. You have to show them why it's in their best interest, right? Because they don't really care about you. Now, the other decision that I have to make if I am going to engage in that type of business is, is the motivation through the roof, super high? Is he going to, because if he's pushing back on this, I promise you he's probably going to push you back on price. And then when it doesn't sell, he'll blame you, right? So that sort of thing. So if I ever did, so out of 150 deals I would do in a year, there might be 20 that were on some adjustable kind of commission. But of those 20, they were all highly motivated, like 9s and 10s. Like, I gotta sell. They also were receptive on price, meaning they were receptive to like position competitively, if need be, make an adjustment, which I would have that conversation with them up front. Like if we see that the marketplace isn't responding in 2 to 3 weeks, at that point, you'd be prepared to make an adjustment. So I would get like clarification around these things before I made that executive decision to proceed and adjust. So like, I would also say to him, like, well, I'm curious, like if somebody came to you and said that, they would do it for X amount, like, would you list with them based on that alone? So in other words, is the only criteria that you're using to select an agent based on who charges you the least amount of money. Is right. Part of your consideration and part of your decision making having somebody local, perhaps maybe even in the neighborhood, that knows the neighborhood better than anybody else? Is it having somebody that because they're in such proximity, they can be available for showings at a drop of a hat to ensure that we get people in to make sure we maximize value? Is any of that going into your consideration and thought process? You see what I'm saying? So like challenging him on this idea that I think most of us in America, it's all of us, we know the price of everything, but we don't know the value of anything.
I agree.
So having him to try to like justify his thinking and like explain what he's thinking and how it makes sense. Whatever, it's all good. But he hired somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. He's going to bulldoze them probably on the price. It'll sit on the market and it probably won't sell.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, he's had a sign up for a week. It's not even on the market. And I'm just like thinking, dude, you can't have that sign out. We have pretty sure.
Yeah, so I think the best thing you could do, which I know is difficult because it's right next door, but the best thing you can do is go find somebody else and then just monitor it. Like if he's on the market a month, see him like, hey, how's it going? You had any offers? Yeah. What's going on? And then just keep it moving. You want to be so busy and that no one disappointment stops you for too long. Like maybe 5 minutes, you could be disappointed. It's like, all right, move on. You know how many people out now in your marketplace is looking for somebody like you who's smart, hardworking, ambitious, has integrity, and like will do, give them great service? A lot of people. He's just not one of them. Okay. With your role play partners, work on them. Because it's not going to be the first time somebody challenges you on commission. So work on somebody's like, yeah, what will you do it for 4%? And tell them specifically to like ask you the questions that he asked you. Because we want to get you to a place that when you get hit with it, instead of internally wincing, you internally smile. Like, oh, so cute. Okay, that's what we're doing? All right, I got you. The amount of people that you're speaking to is going down. Technology is shifting and changing, but there's less and less expireds. And the advice is just call more of them. You have to be very careful to who you give access to your thinking. There's a difference between being a student and being a follower. A follower nods your head and doesn't think. We did less deals in 2025 than we did in 2008, guys. This is the real estate Hunger Games, bro. We have to be willing to learn new things and change.
Hey, Aaron, I have a quick question.
You know what my question for you is? When are you going to partner with us, bro?
Soon. So you were saying like calling probates. I know I asked that last time. You said it doesn't matter like the timing really, but in terms of like dialing, like I'm calling expireds right now. So I'm like on a triple line dialer. Would you recommend triple line dialing them or single dialing?
Well, tell me this. What are you experiencing? Pickup rates? What are you experiencing with like how many contacts you're making a day? What dialer are you using? Like, tell me all of that.
So I'm using Mojo. Pickup rate right now is like about 10 to 15%.
So how many contacts are you making in an hour?
5 to 6.
So, and has that dropped over the last, I don't know, 12, 18, 24 months?
It has, yeah.
So what does that tell you?
I should get another dialer.
Okay, so that's one, yes, which is like a natural solution.
Yeah.
What else does that tell you? This is so good, bro. I could smell the wood burning. You're actually thinking.
Yeah.
So you sit on these, bro, it's funny, dude, because like you'll sit on calls like this or you'll go to like quote unquote coaches and they'll be like, yeah, bro, you need to make more contacts, but there's no thinking. So if we look at like what's happening over the last 14, 24 months, technology is changing. It's getting more difficult to get people to pick up the phone. Yes.
It's a lot of Google screening too that I'm getting.
Right. So as such, we need a better tool. I'm curious, has anybody told you about getting a better tool? No. Isn't that fascinating, young man? Two things to be true at the same time. Just something's more true than something else. If you're seeing that the amount of people that you're speaking to is going down, not through lack of effort, because I know you're smart, hardworking, and ambitious, and I know you make calls. The issue is technology is shifting and changing, but nobody's giving you any guidance to change technology. That's fascinating. The second thing is, what about the lead source itself? What have you noticed over the last 14, 18, 24 months from the amount of deals you're taking from expired?
They've diminished.
So why do you keep banging your head against the wall and keep going back to the well and asking me about multiple dialers?
Like with probate, for instance, like I feel like the list isn't as big as expireds.
So let me get this straight. So you're on a date with somebody who's not going well and it's not going good, and it keeps getting worse as time progresses. So you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to stay with them.
I see where you're coming from. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
But I also know why, because is anybody telling you to start to look at different lead sources?
No, not really.
The amount of people that you're speaking to has been dwindling and going down. You know it. You see it. It's visceral. You can see it, taste it, touch it, smell it. The technology is making it more difficult to get on the phone. There's less and less expireds. And the advice is just call more of them. How much have you changed what you're doing over the last 2 years?
Not much, I guess.
Oh, so let me get this straight. So the information that you're getting is telling you to do the same thing. So the lead source that's dwindling and harder to get a hold of, and they're not telling you anything different than that. And you haven't changed that much in the last 12 to 18, 24 months. Let me ask you this. And again, this is good. This comes from love. What has happened to production over the last 18 to 24 months?
It's gone down tremendously.
Bro. Look at me. Everybody on this call, look at me. You have to be very careful to who you give access to your thinking. What do they have me saying and doing? And is that in alignment with the world that we live in today? There's a difference between being a student and being a follower. A follower nods your head and doesn't think. A student says, wait a minute. Contacts are going down. There's less of them. My production's going down. And I'm focused on this current lead source, but I continue to keep banging my head against the wall, doing the same thing with the same people, listening to the same stuff. What did Einstein tell us about doing something, the same thing over and over again, expecting something different to happen? So I love you, bro. Here's the issue. It's not that you're not smart. It's not that you're not hardworking. It's not that you're not disciplined. You're swimming in pools of data that have low densities of motivated, qualified people using technology that makes it difficult to speak to and actually connect with people. And nobody's telling you to do anything different other than on this call.
I agree.
So with that, what are you going to do?
I'm going to start calling probates from now on, I guess.
Good. Connect with Cyrus. He's on this call. He's on the same path doing the same thing.
Go,
and you know what? And you know what he did for 6 months after I told him about it? He promptly sucked his thumb like you're doing. And then he had to hit like bottom and be like, bro. And I'm like, okay, well, are you ready? I give a talk in Chicago, and I'm in the green room with the speakers, and two of these guys come and they want to speak to me. And they're being told the same things that you are. Make more contacts, calling expired, got his leads in his pocket, like the whole thing, right? And he comes in the green room, he starts talking to me, and I tell him like the same thing I'm telling you. I'm like, look, bro, the issue isn't that you're not like smart, hardworking, and ambitious. The issue is that you're swimming in pools of data that have low densities, motivated, qualified people in an environment where there's less of those leads. And the only advice is to start calling just list of just solds. And then you know what he promptly decided to do with his ripe age of 26? Started to argue with me. So let me get this straight. It's not working. Banging your head against the wall. But you want to argue about it? Okay. Guess so. Guys, my life has changed the most when I changed my mind. I changed my mind about things. I changed my mind about lead sources. I changed my mind around business opportunities, vehicles. You have to be open to doing new things. We went from 6.5 million to 3. We did less deals in 2025 than we did in 2008, guys. This is the real estate Hunger Games, bro. If you think you can stay the same, not change a thing, and keep doing what you're doing,
and collecting little silly pieces of plastic as your production goes down to try to make you feel better. Bro, that's not going to cut it. We have to be willing to learn new things and change. And you know what's fascinating? Those people that are learning new things and changing, do you know what's happening? They're having record years, making more money, doing more deals. Jack, he's not on this call. He's 20, bro. He's taken 15 listings in the last 2 months and did 4 off-market deals, and one of them he made 100 grand on. Just changed his mind, bro.